name is Coleman Young, and first I would like to briefly introduce this team to you. Beth Williams, Shushavan Dada, and myself are each in the final semester of the online MBA program here at the University of Louisville. Throughout this presentation, you will hear from each of us regarding nurse recruitment and nurse retention. Recruiting and retaining high-quality nurses provides a daunting but yet essential task for all healthcare companies who employ nurses. Today, we will detail these difficulties. Moreover, we will also communicate why this topic should be a primary focus for this company. Lastly, we will provide the framework of a solution that we believe will reduce nurse attrition, improve our ability as a company to retain nurses, and improve our ability to recruit nurses. Starting on the next slide, Shushavan will present various healthcare concerns for the future regarding nurse recruitment and nurse retention, followed by him demystifying and explaining some of these concerns. Following that, Beth will explain the demands and the desires of the new generation nurse. We believe this is an essential piece, that is understanding the particular individuals that we are targeting. Lastly, I will discuss innovative ways to improve nurse retention and recruitment, ultimately concluding with the framework of this program that we believe will specifically improve both nurse retention and nurse recruitment.
Thank you, Coleman. Healthcare industry is likely to go through multiple changes in the future. These changes would be contributed by the changing demography of the new patients, the changing demography of the workforces, as well as the constant push from the government to improve the overall outcome. Aging population is becoming a big challenge in the healthcare industry. The number of Americans with age 65 and older is likely to cross 95 million in 2060. This aging population also will bring chronic illnesses, disabilities, as well as complex health problems into the industry, needing more healthcare workers as well as nurses in the future. The need for nurses is expected to grow by 12% in next 8 years. And US alone would require more than 1 million nurses in next 4 years. The aging population also includes our nurses. Around 65% of the nurses are either 55 years or older. And around 700,000 nurses are projected to retire or leave the workforce in next 4 years. This would create significant amount of demand for nurses in the future. While the demand is increasing, the supply is getting disrupted at the same time. The nurse turnover has become a significant issue in the industry across the world. The nurse turnover impacts the overall quality of the services as well as it impacts financially to the hospitals. For example, on an average, a hospital loses $300,000 per year for every percentage increase of the nurse turnover. On an average, annually 17% nurses are either leaving their profession or they're leaving their hospitals to join another one. And if you look at the data, within first year, around 17.5% nurses are either leaving the profession or leaving their current hospitals. And this number grows to 43% within 3 years, which essentially means that 43% of the nurses either leave their profession or they leave the current hospitals to join another one within first 3 years. The nurses turnover is also impacting our stakeholders in the industry. For example, patients are losing the trust on nurses because of the lack of services or the quality of the services. The nurses who are left into the industry are getting stressed out with the work left by the nurses who has left the profession or the unfilled nurse positions. The constant expectation to adapt to new co-workers, teach them, handhold them, and also collaborate with them is adding additional pressure and workload on the remaining nurses. The doctors are also complaining with the quality of the nurses that they're working with. The number of complaints from the doctors has also gone up. The constant turnover is impacting the overall services that they're delivering to the patients. And the hospitals Every time a nurse leaves, it also impacts the overall scheduling process for them, as well as it impacts them financially due to the backfill that they have to do in case of every turnover. This imbalance between demand and the supply has created significant shortages of nurses in the industry, and this is likely to grow in future. There are multiple factors that contributes to this nurse shortages. First is the nurse retention. The factors that contribute to nurse retention is the turnover rates. The high turnover rate of the nurses is impacting the overall workload for the remaining nurses. They are getting stressed out for the extra work that they have to carry while remaining in the profession. The extra workload is also diluting the overall boundary of the responsibility, creating lack of control over the overall performances. The expectation from the support from management, the openness in communication is also not available for them to stick to the profession, stick to a particular provider. When the profession, they expect a significant amount of support from the providers in terms of new certifications as well as the growth in the profession. The lack of growth and the support that they receive from the hospitals is also causing them to leave the hospitals and look for something else. It is also understood that the nurses are not getting enough recognition as well as appreciations for the hard work that they put in, and this is creating a lot of dissatisfaction among them, and which is causing and impacting the overall retention. The amount of administrative work that is expected to be done by these nurses is also sacrificing the overall self-giving culture of the profession. A lot of nurses, they join this profession to to provide healthcare services to the patients, but finally when they join the profession, they see a significant amount of work is being done in administration area, and the constant work cost pressure is not also allowing the nurses to do their job what they have joined the profession for. Next is the nurses are also leaving the profession altogether and looking for looking for jobs in some other industry. Some of the factors we just talked about is also contributing to the nurse leaving the profession. For example, the poor management, the lack of support that they receive from the management is also contributing to the factor which actually results in the nurses leaving the profession. For the amount of work that they do, they are not being appropriately compensated, whether in terms of benefits or in terms of the overall compensation. The underpayment or the underpaid nurses are looking for jobs outside the industry. We talked about the lack of growth that they expect, and the support that they expect from the management to help them grow in the profession is also not available, which essentially results in these nurses leaving the profession and looking for something else in other industry. Apart from the nurses leaving the profession, not many talent is also joining in the profession. The inadequate supply of the staff, teaching staff for a nurse education is also impacting the number of nurses students joining the nursing profession. Second is the overall impression of the profession has also deteriorated due to the constant pressure of regulatory requirements as well as the cost pressure, which doesn't let the nurses do their job. And the third one is that nursing as a profession is socially not looked at the same level with other profession which is dominated by male. And this doesn't make this profession attractive enough to attract more talent into this profession. My team members will talk about who are the new nurses are in the future, what they want from the profession, and also what kind of strategy that the provider should adopt in order to attract the new talents into the profession.
As we start looking at strategizing for recruiting nurses, we need to first find out what this new generation of nurses, what their traits are, what really makes them tick. So as we walk through that, we know that by the year 2025, millennials will make up to 75% of the entire US workforce. So what that means is we need to really learn what makes millennials tick, what their traits are, and see how we can tap into that when we start recruiting and retaining these nurses. So the first thing we really need to discuss is that they are digital natives. They're tech savvy individuals. They are on their devices, smartphones, laptops, other gadgets for 24/7. They are also individualistic, but team oriented. So it's interesting. They value teamwork and they seek the input and affirmation of others, although they lack this social and relationship skills. So that's something to kind of tap into and know. They're family centric too. So members of this generation are willing to kind of take not as much pay so that they can spend more time with their family and have a more flexible schedule and better work-life balance. They're pragmatic and cautious, and they're concerned about their physical, financial security, their emotional security. They want to make sure that they're taken care of on all of those realms. And then they're diverse. So they haven't really grown up with an overt segregation. So they value diversity and inclusion. They have a shorter attention span and they're prone to job hopping. So they always are looking for something new and better. And this may be due to excessive internet use, those sorts of things. And then another thing to note is that they're ambitious and they achievement oriented. So they have these high expectations of employers to challenge them. They're not afraid to question authority. And they have a high need for career development. And so we want to make sure and tap into that. We want to offer some career development programs to help elevate this high achievement and ambition that they have. And then they also appreciate transparency and actually crave attention. So the more conversations, praise, they like frequent praise and reassurance and those sorts of things. And they enjoy transparency. So have those conversations up front, let them know what the program's about. So now that we know a little bit about them, I'm going to talk a little bit about a lady, Jessica Treeman. She created a blog a little bit about this and what really motivates millennials in the workforce. So we're going to kind of get into that a little bit. So now that we know the traits, now we need to know what motivates them. So here's some things. So they are socially driven individuals. So these millennials, they value purpose and meaning, and especially in the social realm. Again, the work-life balance is something that they really focus on. If there's any way to really provide work-life balance outside of the box, so we're thinking flexible hours, scheduling, that sort of thing, they're really looking for an entity and a facility that can provide that to them. And then they enjoy more than just entertainment. The millennials, like I said, they look for transparency. They want an honest and open career work environment and also some career development there. And then again, company culture, we need to build a program and the facility needs to make sure that the culture is inclusive and diverse. And we need to put that in front of the people. We need to put that in front of our recruiter, our candidates and the people we're recruiting. And then again, ambitious, adventure seeking. Gallup found that 87% of millennials rate professional and career growth as important in the job that they choose. So we want to get that out in front of them and provide that to them. So now we're going to step into some strategies for recruitment. Now that we know those things, we know what their traits are, we know what motivates them and what they're looking for within the job. So now's the time to really kind of strategize. So this is what the recommendation on strategy is. So we want to, again, we know what they want. They want the work-life balance. They need some type of flexible working schedule, or maybe even the option of choosing their schedule and programs to where it's easy to change their schedule if needed. That needs to be something that is provided. Compensation, everyday package needs to reflect the changing financial and lifestyle goals of the individual worker is important. Again, it's important for them to be financially stable and for that realm to be met. And that goes along with health insurance too. Employees rated health insurance as the most important benefit, followed by pay, leave, and pension plan. And all of those things should be tackled in the recruitment strategies. Growth opportunities, again, this is something that is very important to them. They need to know that there's some development programs available to them. They value this learning and development, and they also value mentoring and career growth. These are things that we know that millennials want and that we need to tackle. So that's something that should be in the plan. And then we need to position the brand. So the facility needs to make sure that they are branding these important things and really putting it out there for them. So we need to be open about inclusion. We need to illustrate how their culture plays out in real life. We need to be bold about our benefits. Build the benefits around the mission statement and core values to let potential candidates know both how and why the employer packages are better than all the rest. After you do this, one of the most important things is you have to have the brand ambassadors, right? You have to have individuals that are working currently in the facility that get it out there to say, hey, this place is real. This is not just something they're saying. It's wonderful to work here. Get on board. Here's the information you need. We need people out there, and the way to best kind of get it, we need to get it straight to them where they are. So get it out there, technology, social media, have people on there, get yourself, the facilities should have a social media landing sites. They need to be available where these millennials are. So, and then of course, get friendly with tech. Technology is their friend. They love it. They're always looking for the latest and greatest. So do not be shy about technology. Get out there with it. Have tools that are customizable on career sites. Do video interviews and automated scheduling. Those sorts of things will let them know, hey, these people, they're the real thing. They're up on technology, and that's important to them. So improve the candidate experience. So you need to get friendly with tech. So when you're scheduling interviews, do video interviews. Make sure that you're sending automated scheduling. Get it out there. Make sure that the website, it's in their face. So don't hide these benefits that are important to them. Don't put it at the bottom of the web page. Get it up at the very top. Have plenty of social media sites that send the candidates to this web page and really get it out there. And then simplify the process. So more than 2 different processes, it's kind of overwhelming to them. They have, again, a low attention span. So, set up with some smart automation, make sure that it's easy for them and that technology is there. Do remote recruiting. So get out there where they are. Again, meet your candidate where they are. Use text message, video, remote work opportunities, make the recruitment process feel easy, natural, and fun. So get out there and do it. And of course, you want to provide some type of employee referral program. You have good employees there. They know candidates. And so if they do, and they have a good candidate in mind, incentivize them to refer these candidates to you. And then the last thing, definitely one of the most important things, is making sure to prove this diversity and inclusion. You need to make sure that these individuals are, that diversity and inclusion really is a part of everything that you do within the facility, and that needs to be shown through the recruiting process. It needs to be out there in their face, that this is something that kind of intertwines with everything that we do. Now that I'm finished talking about our recruitment strategies, I'm going to hand it off to Coleman, and he's going to go into how to retain these people. So Coleman, you're up.
In efforts to begin concluding this presentation, I will discuss first a few innovative ways to improve nurse retention and recruitment, and then I will outline the framework of a program that we believe will improve both of these aforementioned areas. Our team's literature review identified many areas that could prove beneficial for nurse recruitment and retention. For many nurses, scheduling can be daunting. Working days or nights, 3/12s, 4/10s, or 5/8s, a vast array of potential schedules does provide scheduling flexibility, but piecing all types of schedules together can be difficult and will potentially limit work-life balance, a quality that many new age nurses desire, as argued by Brown et al. Scheduling employees more regularly, such as on the same days rather than an assortment of days, may be beneficial. Days or nights that are less desirable would be incentivized with premium pay. In addition, call pools and travel pools can be created within an organization that include premium pay to foster a desire to work these less desirable times. Since the new age nurse is becoming more interested in career opportunities, it would be beneficial to develop a greater array of career opportunities, a vehicle for retention improvement discussed by Effendi et al. This may be by cultivating leadership through mentoring partnerships, as you see in the first box of the middle column, or through leadership circles, as you see in the middle box of the middle column, the same middle column. In addition, providing other opportunities outside of practice mentorship, such as providing methods for grooming individuals for leadership positions. This may be beneficial for retention in particular, but recruitment alike. Lastly, in the last column on this slide, beginning to rebrand nursing as a career may prove essential. Historically, the profession has prioritized self-sacrifice rather than wellness or even progressing a career. In addition, providing incentives for innovative deliveries of nursing could progress rebranding. Although much has changed in the delivery of practice, the manner in which healthcare is delivered is relatively stagnant. Only since the onset of COVID has the delivery of such healthcare begun to shift towards telemedicine in greater numbers. It could be beneficial in rebranding to encourage nurses to develop alternative methods of delivery of healthcare to benefit the patient and the organization alike. We highlighted a few of these areas that we believe integrate many areas identified in research to be beneficial for improving recruitment and retention for nurses. As you see, there are many ways to target the new age nurse in improving their likelihood to begin work with or remain employed by the organization. The characteristic most worth pointing out is actually listed last at the bottom right of this slide. The new age nurse is more likely to find benefit in career development and support learning or continuing education. The literature supports this idea that the new age nurse is desperate for new and better information. In addition, the new age nurse finds a desire in progressing a career rather than traditional, simple, self-sacrifice nature of the average nurse. There are many other aspects that can provide a base to launch an attack on nurse attrition. Improving communication is important for the new age nurse as they want to find themselves connected to a sense of team, as well as have a valued opinion while being involved in many aspects of the business organization, rather than just the simple day-to-day of nursing. The new age nurse supports diversity and is much more likely to work better for a diverse management team. Focusing on this diversity may be important for recruitment and retention as well. Since the new age nurse finds it important that they work for an organization they can trust. In fact, as you see here, the average new age nurse is 22 times more likely to work for a company with high trust culture for quite some time. The new age nurse seems to be enthralled by technology. Typically, the new age nurse is well versed in technology. Therefore, they enjoy its application during work activities. The new age nurse understands appreciation of a job well done and finds empowerment in having the responsibility to make autonomous decisions in patient care and in organizational changes as well. Incorporating these things it could be vastly important for recruitment and retention. Last to mention, the new age nurse desires simply to be part of a team. Focusing on keeping nurses engaged with their team and their surroundings could be important and essential for recruitment and retention. This brings us to our program that we believe in. We believe that we can utilize this residency program to cater to each of these important areas for the new age nurse. New hires, typically fresh out of school, will enter the residency program. Instead of having to go through a typical hospital orientation, this hospital orientation will be ingrained within the residency program. This will involve an introduction of standards of care for the employer that all employees are expected to execute, as well as a self-determined area focus within the discipline. And moreover, this will include time spent with their mentor partner. Mentor partners would be selected based upon personality tests to find appropriate connections, as well as it would include a focus on the specific desired area of study. Mentoring will also allow time for a connection between varying levels of experienced employees. This will help provide a greater sense of team. In addition, it will promote the desire for continuing education in the pursuit of the highest quality care. Ultimately, all of this will lead to retention. Recruiting nurses, instead, it is important to have a weeding out process. This was from a study from a hospital in Philadelphia, in fact, the University of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. Nurses try out the field through clinical experiences, which will accelerate the attrition rate for those participating in the program, the students, but not for those currently employed in the field. This saves the hospital or the employer from having a higher attrition rate. The nurses will participate in their clinical experience, then apply for open positions, which will occur through our residency program. This slide addresses the areas of desire for the new age nurse that are shown to improve the nurse retention and recruitment rates. In addition, it highlights how these important areas will help the company retain and recruit nurses. Again, starting at the end, the bottom right, the residency supports the desire the residency supports the desire by allowing for a top of the line continuing education with a vast amount of hands-on training. This residency will improve internal communication by connecting nurses through class sessions, cohorts, study groups, and mentors. Moreover, this connection will also promote teamwork as trust begins to build between participants in the program. Diversity is supported in nurses being paired with quality mentors who have a similar desire for an area of focus in practice, as well as personality compatibility, rather than simply pairing cultures. Residents will find it valuable that they will participate in practice on top of on top of the line technology in the digital workplace. Lastly, the residency program empowers employees by giving them the skills necessary to succeed in practice as well as progress career aspirations as desired. Today, you have heard from Shushavan about the importance and the need for improving recruitment and retention. Beth illuminated the cavernous characteristics of the New Age nurse and how understanding these New Age nurses can impact our ability to develop a quality program to retain and recruit quality nurses. Lastly, you have heard from me our proposed program and how this program will be integral to recruiting and retaining high quality nurses. We want to thank you for listening intently to our presentation.